In 1944, my father was drafted into the Army when he was 21 years old and still an undergraduate at the University of Wisconsin. He served in the Philippines during World War II. His troop was there mainly to maintain order and to be ready just in case. Although his company didn't go into combat, young Jack Clemmons quickly learned that there were other kinds of battles in the Army. The Army was segregated back then, although they were serving the same country. Black and white American soldiers and officers in World War II were trained and stationed in separate camps. Young Jack Clemmons confronted another kind of discrimination, too. Many of the other African American soldiers in this company had stereotypes about African American soldiers who had a college education as he did. When Jack first arrived in the Philippines, he was frequently taunted by the other soldiers in his company. They accused him of thinking he was better than they were. They called him a sissy. They mocked his vocabulary and the way he spoke. They picked fights with him.
The black soldiers, I think, at the time, had a very difficult time.
How so?
They just didn't have the freedom, recognition, and authority that the white soldiers did. I remember, the thought there was a white military group that was in a small group out, not too far from where we were. And the black soldiers and the others around there felt that they were going to attack us. And I said, well, we don't sit here and worry about what they might be doing. I think we get ready for them.
Who was them? The white soldiers?
White soldiers.
White American soldiers?
White American soldiers were going to attack us and shoot us, see? Mm-hmm. In fact, while I was there were 2 or 3 bodies there of black soldiers that were sitting. I asked, what were they doing? They said, nothing. They were just doing like we are, looking over this mound of dirt, and these guys shot them. They knew they were there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a real nasty group. They were in the Army and they wanted to shoot someone, so they didn't. The enemy that they proposed weren't around, so they had to assert themselves. So if they saw black soldiers, saw someone, they had to be the enemy, and they'd shoot them. The Army is interesting. You obviously, if you take overall and you're a black combat, I had much more education than the average black soldier. And among them, some would admire you, but then the majority disliked you because they thought that you're trying to be white. That was their attitude towards being educated, see. That doesn't happen to happen just there. When you're in the Army, right, all along, you would get that because the fellows would see that you talked better than they did, and you got a little more attention. And that made you get into problems. See, they want to challenge you physically or any other way they could do. See, to show up that, well, he's not so hot, he's not such a big guy, I can take care of him. And you had to overcome that. Fortunately, I was large enough to do it. Mm-hmm. If I had been smaller in size, they would have beat the heck out of me, honestly. And there was this one guy who was kind of the big shot there in the camp with us, and I never paid him any attention because I never had that much contact with some of them. When I wasn't busy, there was a small room and I could go and get some books and I would sit and read. So, they would think, I guess, I was a sissy or such and such and all that kind of stuff. And leaving there, walking across, this one guy, I guess, said something and I just walked away. As I walked away, he came and knocked me flat. He hit me from the back. I didn't see him. And all of them were cheering for him. Mm-hmm. But I finally got him. I had my arm right across his neck, and I could have beat the heck out of him. And they saw that, and I think that put me in their better thoughts. Mm-hmm. And I got along with it. I thought that's not, it was a really nasty group of people. They were. You would think that among themselves they could do better than that. Because the only reason they were on my side for a while, he was a big guy, and he was beating the heck out of me, but then I was able to, in the long run, handle him. So that made you acceptable to them at their scale, see, that kind of stuff. And I could have taken advantage of that, but then when we got into the major city and all, I didn't make a point of the fact that he was trying to show off at the time, and I was able to hold my own and beat him up. And when we got into where there were more black soldiers and the whole thing, I never said anything to him, and I think that he was glad I didn't say that I had to beat the heck out of him. He didn't beat me up, see. And that made us certainly more friendly. The Army you saw a lot of that kind of activity in the Army. And particularly if you were more educated, they felt that you're thinking you're better than they are. Well, you were better educated than they were. It's something you worked to get. It wasn't handed to you. But some of them, though, would come along and would ask me for a book they'd see I had books and all. And I was glad to get them books and would talk to them if they were doing that way. There are not many that were like that, but the guys that did that way were really good guys. The others that wanted to be rough would see, well, if I had to fight, I could fight and did fight and was fortunately able to defend myself. So I had that respect from them. But the Army, to me, was really tough. At times you had interaction with white soldiers. And I was much better educated than they were, even though I may not have had the stripes and all that. And that was impressive to some of the black students around and the comrades in my group. And that's what helped me largely when they saw I could really handle myself with the white soldiers and not let them get involved. I had better training and just better education than they had. And that was, for black soldiers at the time, that to them seemed to be really something special to see, here's a black guy that knows more than white people. But as you went along and worked, they could understand you, and I never tried to assert myself and show that I was better than them in any way. And we got to be friendly. They would get me and ask, would I give them individual consultation, which I did. And that's how I got along with a lot of them. They knew that they were going to get out of the Army, and they wanted more education, and they wanted help with mathematics and stuff like that.
It was tough, but young Jack stood his ground, kept a cool head, and fought back when he had to.